Hello, Oracles. Oh my goodness. Still moving up into earnings. Now we closed over 290 today. That is right above a level of resistance that we had. This is a very good sign. We'll see how we trade tomorrow going right up into earnings. Again, we will be having our live stream starting 30 minutes before market close, so 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. We'll start that live stream. We'll get to see how we trade right into close ahead of earnings. Take a look at that. And today we are going to be looking at some pricing predictions for the Cybertruck. There's a lot of people out there making some guesses. So we're going to go into some of that today. We're also going to go over all of the different say questions that are out there that they're going to be discussing on the earnings call. These are all the retail investor questions that they put out there for everyone to ask. And then they'll go through the top 10 or so. They actually do spend quite a bit of time going through all of those questions. They do a great job. So we'll do our best to answer those questions right now and see how accurate we are. So we'll get into all of that in just a minute. All right, so looking at the day, we are up 1%, closing at 293.34. Amazing day, still pushing up in the RSI into 72, but again, we've been well higher than that. This is technically overbought, but hey, nothing's going to stop us from pushing higher realistically. On the weekly, again, we are overbought, but on the monthly, like I said, we're only at 57. We've got room to move up. So we'll see where it's going to be taking us. Looking at volume today, again, not the highest volume, 112 million shares trading hands. So it's nice pushing up into this, but there's not a ton of volume moving. I think a lot of that is waiting for earnings tomorrow. So we will wait and see what happens then. So of course, there has been a lot of discussion about the Cybertruck recently. We got the first production vehicle coming off of the lines last Saturday. And then the question is, what's pricing going to be? Are we going to be hearing about that on the earnings call tomorrow? Or are they just going to be announcing the event that we are going to be having for it, that delivery event? Many people suspect it's going to be in September. I was guessing late September, early October. So chances are it's going to be around that time frame. Maybe we wait until then to get the pricing. Don't know, but there's a lot of people out there discussing it. I thought initially, because of inflation and all of the things that Elon had said previously, the price of the Cybertruck was going to be significantly higher than what we had seen when they first announced it. So now the original pricing for the Cybertruck was going to be the single motor for $39,900, the dual motor for $49,900, and the tri-motor for $69,900. And now, with all of the new recent information coming out, with inflation coming down, discussions about how the costs of all the materials have been coming down as well, and then Elon tweeting out about the Ford F-150 pricing coming down to that $59,000 range, saying that it's still priced too high based upon the fact that there's, very high interest rates, and people may not just want to buy those because the interest rates are so high, and the loan they have to take is going to be significant. With all that information coming in, looking like the fact that pricing that was originally stated might actually be true. Now, we do know that the single motor version is no longer going to be coming out. We're going to be getting a dual motor and a quad motor. I believe that there's going to be a tri-motor. I haven't gotten confirmation. Gary Black, we're going to get into him in a minute, believes that there will be a tri-motor out there. I have not seen anything. Maybe I missed it. I do think that there's going to be a plaid version as well. But looking at some of this pricing that's coming out in the predictions, I thought maybe we were going to see a dual motor around that same price as the Ford F-150 right now, around that $59,000 range. And then we'd see a quad motor around the $79,000 range, thereby making them both qualify for the EV tax credit. And so we've got Gary Black coming out tweeting, we wouldn't read too much into the Ford 17% price cut on the base F-150 EV Lightning price to $49,900. While Ford said the cuts reflect improvements in scale and battery raw material costs, we believe Ford wanted to get in front of the imminent Tesla Cybertruck pricing for September delivery event. We continue to expect $49,900, $59,900, and $79,900 for the dual, tri, and quad motor Cybertruck versions, respectively. So looking at that pricing there, dual motor at $49,900 is still right in line with what we saw for the original pricing. And the tri-motor is actually less expensive than the original pricing. So now, of course, they have the quad motor, which was not listed initially. So this pricing is actually better than we had originally seen. Plus, we get the EV tax credit on top of it. Now, I had mentioned in a response in a tweet that Back in 2003, I got my Chevy Silverado 2500 HD for $42,000. Theoretically, you can get, with the EV tax credit, a dual motor Cybertruck for that same price. 20 years later, a vehicle that is going to be better than what I had in 2003, that is going to be costing the same, but over the life of the vehicle, it's going to cost significantly less. Back then, gas prices were going up significantly. I had a long commute to work. I was paying $650 a month in gas. Had I had the Cybertruck at that time, I'd be spending maybe $200 in electricity. That's it. So that is incredible, the fact that they are able to do this. So again, we don't have any confirmation about pricing yet for the Cybertruck, but based upon the information we're getting, based upon what Elon has been saying, seems like these prices are going to be pretty accurate. Now, other thoughts that have come out about the fact that Cybertruck just started ramping, maybe the prices come out a little bit higher, then as they get to economies of scale, they come down. But thinking about the fact that a lot of people have been waiting a long time for this, thinking about the fact that they have plenty of income coming in from other sources, and with the slow ramp of this, is there really a point in having the prices being higher initially and then dropping them down after the people who really wanted them had to pay more? It's kind of rude to do to the people who are really dedicated to them. And then this morning I put out a hot take. Elon alluding to running at 0% margins was in reference to the Cybertruck. Pricing could be shockingly low. Now, if you remember Elon discussing how, hey, maybe they run all their vehicles at 0% margins, and if they do that, they can certainly get by, it won't be a problem. And in the process of doing that, it's a matter of getting as many vehicles on the road as possible. With that said, perhaps they're going to be running the Cybertruck at 0% margins initially. They run it at 0% margins, they'll know full well when they get it up to ramp, those margins will increase significantly over time as they get it out there. So perhaps they start with the lower prices, and then because we know the demand is extremely high, maybe they doctor the prices around, maybe they go up a little bit, down a little bit, who knows? But I have a feeling we might be surprised by how shockingly low these prices are for the Cybertruck. Very excited, and obviously we will find out about this in due time, most likely sooner rather than later. All right, so now we're going to get into the say questions that we are going to be hearing from retail investors on the earnings call tomorrow. Some of them are the same that we went over last week, some are different. So I'll just go over the top 10 or so of these questions because this is basically what they're going to be doing tomorrow night as well. We'll do our best here to answer, and you guys in the comments can also answer what you think we would hear from them tomorrow on the earnings call as well. So the first question, has any automaker approached Tesla to license FSD? This is actually interesting. Obviously, Elon has an open invitation to anyone out there. Many people have reached out to Tesla for, teaming up for the North American charging standards. So we've already seen that partnership happening. So I think that's going to be opening the door to people being comfortable asking about licensing FSD. Obviously, FSD is a totally different animal. It's going to be a significant source of revenue generation versus supercharging, which will bring in some revenue, but not as much. Tesla's giving away a lot of free supercharging miles to any Tesla owner right now with the referral program. So they're back to doing that. So they're not looking to make massive profits on their superchargers, but FSD will. So it would be interesting to see and hear if anybody has actually reached out to Tesla yet for FSD. I'm guessing no, just because they haven't solved it yet, but maybe there are some discussions going on, and it would be nice to know that. And then, of course, this one, which we will find out soon enough. When will you get more information about our Cybertruck orders, estimated delivery schedules, pricing, and specifications? Again, we're going to find this out in due time, whether we find out about it tomorrow, in a month, at the delivery event in September. Not sure, but I have a feeling we are going to be finding out about that very soon. To me, this is kind of a wasted question because if they don't answer it in the earnings call initially, they're not going to answer it in the questions here. Now, this one here we answered last week. Have you considered allowing FSD transferability as a lever to allow existing customers to upgrade to a new Tesla instead of being locked into the existing cars due to the price of FSD? Again, they're going to go to a subscription-based model when it comes to FSD. So chances are it's not going to matter because you are paying month to month. So when you get your new vehicle, it's just going to, it basically is going to transfer because you're paying a monthly subscription, whether it's one vehicle or another, instead of paying a lump sum. That lump sum amount payment is going to be going away. This one was also on here last week. What is the status of the 4680 cell? How far are you from specs you laid out at battery day? When do you expect to achieve what you laid out on battery day? They did say it was going to take 4 to 5 years. Last we heard, looks like it was going to be about 2026. We would actually get the full effects of all of the 4680 cells. So it would be nice to know if they are still on track for that. This one again was also in there. As you open the supercharger network in North America to other EVs, do you plan to accelerate anticipatory investments in supercharger expansion to avoid congestion? And how will you deal with long lead times to upgrade electric T&D services to these areas for multi-megawatt loads? Again, Tesla's putting up superchargers faster and faster every single day. By the time we get to the point where we are really seeing serious congestion in more than one area, right now it's kind of localized to some spots in California. I have not heard of any major congestion anywhere else, but they are continually putting it out there. And they have a whole entire open questionnaire asking people, hey, where do you want to see superchargers coming up next? So they're listening to what people want and they're doing that. When and what is the rollout plan for Robotaxi? What kind of revenue projection do we have for Robotaxi? So this is a good question. I don't know if they're going to really dive into this. Maybe they will, just because they haven't officially announced when it's coming. They talked about the Robotaxi. Obviously, they've talked about the Robotaxi network. I don't know if they're going to go too far into details on it, but we've been surprised on earnings calls before where they've given us way more information than I thought they were going to give us. So perhaps they do have some sort of projection about this, and we'll see. And here's a new one. How many Optimus bots have been made, and when will they be able to start performing useful tasks? Now, we have seen Optimus out there doing some things in the videos that they have presented to us. So some of the tasks are useful, but I'm really curious, when are we going to be able to see Optimus performing tasks in the factory that are going to actually be able to replace some employees? Again, I'm not about replacing employees and people losing their jobs to machines, but when it comes to manufacturing efficiency and cost cutting, this is the direction that they are going. What is the pace? When can we see the first Optimus bots working in factories? That's what I would like to know. Next question. Critics of gigacasting contend that the process makes vehicles harder and more costly to repair, essentially pushing cost onto the consumer. Could you share some details about the initial repair experience with gigacasted vehicles? So my thoughts on this are, Tesla right now, with Tesla Insurance, is utilizing the data that they collect from all of the insurance and all of the accidents to be able to prevent accidents and extra repairs that they need to make in the future. Obviously, once we get to a point where all vehicles are autonomous, it's not really going to make a difference. But before we get there, it will. So if Tesla is currently looking at any ways that they can possibly make the user experience better, especially when it comes to getting into an accident or preventing an accident or having an accident cost a lot less and getting that vehicle returned to Tesla, they're already doing that with all of the information they have coming in. When it comes to the gigacasting, they would just work on things when it comes to the casting itself to be able to make the vehicle better and not have to worry about these things. So I have no doubt that's what they're going to be discussing on the call tomorrow. This one we discussed last week as well. Can you provide some guidance on when we can expect the first vehicles to be produced from Giga Mexico? Will it serve as a major export hub to North America and beyond? So again, I believe we are going to be seeing the first vehicles coming off the line in Q4 of 2024. And then I think we're going to see the major ramp of it obviously happening in 2025 and beyond. Because of the fact that they're going to be producing the next gen vehicle, clearly they are going to be exporting to North America and beyond initially. If we are going to be seeing India coming online as well shortly after Mexico, India may end up becoming the major export hub. Not sure. I don't know what India is going to be putting on there, but I think they're going to want to export. So that might be a deal that Tesla has worked out with them. Perhaps India is going to be the export hub for the Asia Pacific region, and Mexico is going to be the export hub for North America and Europe. Next question. What's the roadmap for Tesla Solar? This one's big. To me, energy is more important than solar itself. Solar is important, but energy right now taking off massively. There was just a giant deal that was cut in Massachusetts, the state right above me. As here tweeted out by Sawyer Merritt, breaking, Tesla has secured 2 contracts worth $413 million to install 218 megapacks in 2 energy storage facilities in Massachusetts. The 2 facilities will have a combined capacity of 400 megawatt to 800 megawatt hours. So again, while I think solar is important, Energy is the real focus that I have here going forward because they are landing some massive deals. That's just two energy facilities for $500 million. That's enormous. Think about how many other states and how many other countries are out there to bring in this kind of revenue. It's insane. All right, two more questions we'll go through. Please describe the progress towards the cost reduction goals presented at Battery Day. Now, again, this might be something that they answer with the previous battery question as well. What's the progress that we're going towards that? So these two kind of relate. This might be one that they already answer and they'll skip by this. And actually, the next question after this one's good as well. So we'll answer the next two. So it has recently been mentioned that FSD will, quote, leave beta upon the release of version 12. Can the team expand on what a, quote, beta-less version of FSD would look like? At what point would Tesla feel comfortable taking on driving liability? So right now, that's the big thing that Tesla is not taking on. They are not taking on the liability. Right now, the liability is still on the consumer and the driver. So once Tesla does get to that point where they take on liability, that is where we are going to see the massive change. That might be when we see version 12. This is a good question, and it would be interesting to see if they do actually answer this on the earnings call. And last question, with the emphasis on price cuts to drive volume growth eating into automotive gross margin, can investors expect to see automotive gross margins stabilize or even rise due to efficiencies outpacing the cuts? And if so, when? So again, this one here is one of those, we feel that Q2 is probably going to be the trough when it comes to all of the gross margins when it comes to vehicles. After this, we should be going up. We're going to have the scales coming back in. We're going to have inflation kind of stabilizing, at least at these levels. Pricing should be stabilizing. Cybertruck coming out is going to be pushing up average selling price. We should see margins going up after this. Obviously, then as the Cybertruck scales, margins will continue to climb. We are still going through the phase with Berlin and Austin getting to economies of scale. They haven't fully gotten there yet either. As those continue to go, we will see the costs come down also. We're seeing cost of goods sold, cost of materials also coming down, as also stated by Ford. Seeing all of this coming through, chances are this is the lowest we are ever going to see automotive gross margins again as we move forward. And even when we see the Model 2 come out, even if those costs are lower and the margins aren't as much initially because they haven't gotten to economies of scale there yet, they still have enough with all the other vehicles coming in to offset that initially. So chances are this is the lowest trough we're going to see when it comes to vehicle gross margins, and we are going to continue to go up from here. And then also don't forget, when the Fed does pivot and comes down on interest rates, that just means that Tesla is going to be able to get more customers in, and the demand will continue to go back up again just because people aren't taking on loans with such high interest rates. So that is also going to grow. We'll have more people coming in, and Tesla will have even more room when it comes to pricing power. So lots of awesome stuff when it comes to all of that. So again, folks, tomorrow, live stream with Peggy starting at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. So excited to hang out with all of you guys for 3+ hours. It's going to be a great time. Cannot wait to see what earnings come out with. So again, my EPS estimate is 88 cents. Let's see how close I am to that. Analyst estimates are at 81 cents. The whisper number is at 89 cents. We'll see how close we are. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support. Have a great one.